Hey guys, it's Bruce. Welcome to Convo Courses Podcast. And today I just want to introduce you guys to a new direction I'm about to take. Not really a new direction. It's still going to be talking GRC, IT, cyber. Um, Only thing probably new, if you want to call it new, is I'll be introducing more of the cloud stuff. Continuing on with the cloud journey I've been on to introduce you guys to everything I know. Like when I know something, when I learn something, I'll be introducing that topic, just like I did with GRC stuff. But what I am doing is, let me show you my screen here. And I apologize for those who are just listening. Um, what I'm doing is there's a new platform. So I know I've changed this a few times, but I think this is it. This is it. No, I don't think this is it. This is it. I'm using another platform that will allow us to not only talk together like on platforms like Circle or one of the other ones. This one will also integrate all the course stuff and the course material, the video, basically like a video book, right? That's how I see courses. I do a lot of them. I just this I do so much that I have like two different audiences. One that only wants to see video books and courses and stuff that I do, and that's all they want. One that's uh, a part of the community that jumps on these lives and talks on a regular basis, right? So, in order to make a better conversation, I wanted to merge both those together, and this platform allows me to do that. So, it's on combocourses.com if you're interested in it, and just look for the community, the join button, and you can jump right in there free, right? It's just people talking to one another about cyber, about getting IT jobs, cloud, any and all topics. And what I really like about this platform is I want to allow other um, teachers, coaches, you name it, to come on the platform and then put their stuff on the platform. And this platform allows me to do that and allows us to do affiliate programs. So if you have a course, I have a course, I'll be able to give you a link and then you can just share that link to other people. And if somebody purchases something with that link, because there'll be free stuff, there'll be paid stuff, purchases that, you can get a commission off of that. So that's ultimately what I really want to do. And this platform right here that you see, if you go to combocourses.com, you'll be able to see it. Will allow us to do that. And this is something that will grow over time, just like the other platform and the other site that I had. It took a while to grow it. So, I mean, this one won't take that long because all I got to do is bring people in from the other platforms and come to one place. So that is the goal here with this. If you're interested, this is the time to get in, because one of the things I do in my community is whenever I have free books that I just released or courses that I just released or whatever, I normally give it to my community first for free or a discount or whatever. I introduce them to stuff that some of the stuff I can't talk about on YouTube. I don't talk about publicly, and I'll put it, for whatever reason, I'll put it on my community page first and talk to people directly about it, because I just don't feel comfortable sharing certain things publicly, like personal stuff that I'm doing at my job or different things. I'll like do a video and only my group sees it. I'm not putting it out on YouTube, right? Stuff like that. I'll put on the community. So that's one of the reasons to join, like free stuff, discounted stuff. Sometimes I'll be testing something out. I'll have like a new thing. Like right now, I have something called GRC Roadmap. I'm about to release that for free to some of the people in my community, to mess around with it first before I actually launch it next week. Next week, I'm gonna launch this thing. So when you go to combocourses.com, it'll look like this. Watch this thing break down like Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, here we go. So it's just like this, just a plain Jane website. And if you hit the join now button right here, it'll take you to the community. Right now, there's no additional stuff to sign up. You just get right in there. And this will change over time. At some point I'll have to close it and then because what happens is once these things get popular, scammers try to get in, and then they're doing some nefarious stuff like making fake websites or whatever and pulling people all other places and scamming on all that kind of stuff. So I'll have to close the doors and make it so that it's invite only or something. Like right now it's so new that I can just have people come in. I know that the people that I talk to on a weekly basis are interested in this stuff. So yeah, here it is right here. And it's a better way to see all the books for those who just read my stuff, like my book readers, audio book readers. Like here's how you get in there. The roadmap book, the roadmap course coming out soon. If you're interested in that, you can join the list I'll let you know, hey, it's out right now. And then here's the community, the actual community to join for free right now. No questions asked. Just jump right in. And I'm introducing some other stuff that's coming soon. I'm actually working really hard on this cloud computing AWS book to show people here's why I got into it. Here's how to pass the core certification, like a breakdown of everything that I went through to get this, to pass the AWS CCP. That's what the book is going to be about. And if you're interested in that, that's going to be released. I'll be done by end of October. Yeah, for sure. End of October on Amazon it'll be out there. So, yeah, join it right now. I've got right now you can get notes like that I actually use to pass this test. If you're interested in fundamentals of cloud and you're like wanting to take this test, like I have my notes for free that you can download and take a look at. Not perfect. They're my real notes. So like the actual notes that I wrote down as I was studying and helped me to pass first time for this AWS CCP book. So the certification. The book will be way more comprehensive. It'll be something that you can put in your toolbox to actually help you to go pass that test. But right now I got free stuff right now. And then of course daily videos. And then if you want to shop directly from me for books, courses, stuff I've been putting out over years, some of the stuff, the reason why I do paid is because some of it I take so much time. There's stuff that I did, it took me a year to create, because I have a full-time job. If I didn't have nothing else going on, probably I could crank it out in a few months or whatever, 6 months or whatever. But I have a full-time job. So there's some projects and stuff that I did that took me a long ass time to do. So, I put a lot of time and effort into it. And it's very deep. It's not for everybody. It's only for people who are serious, who are focused, who are ready to level up and invest in themselves. So that's why I do some paid stuff. You're paying for my time. And also with this one right here, what I want to do is create a one-on-one roadmap for you, made for you, because I'm trying to do something where you start wherever you happen to be. I'll help you to make a roadmap to get to GRC, to get to IT. I'm going to tell you the truth. Like coming from somebody who came from a physical security guard in the Air Force and now is doing remotely working as a cloud guy, So, yeah, so I'm going to tell you the truth about how to get in this field and how to go from wherever you happen to be to wherever you want to go in GRC work. And I'm going to tell you the truth about all the steps you need to take in addition to learning the fundamentals of governance, risk management, and compliance. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining, getting in there. I'm seeing people actually get in there, and I've got a lot more that I want to give, a lot more that I'm working on in the background, and I'm completely open to it. What I really want to do this week is set up a meeting. Larry brought up something that I think would be really cool that I've never done before, that I want to do, and it's right in line with convo courses is having a conversation. I want to set up something to where as a panel and all of us talk together, like 4 or 5 people in here. I wonder how many people I could put. Let me see, at least 3, four, at least four people. So if you're interested in joining it, and we'll just talk about, what's going on in the market, like take questions from people, talk about your background. Like we'll talk about their background to give you an idea of like what's going on in this field, and not just hearing just from me, so you can get another perspective on what's going on. Somebody said interview prep. I've done interview preps before, like a mock interview. I do those sometimes for people who have followed me for a while, for free, when on occasion. um Somebody said at 50 years old, at 50 years old, I can try to start in cybersecurity? Question mark. Look. One of the things people don't understand about cybersecurity and IT in general is that it's a big umbrella, right? It's a huge umbrella. It's not just people who are setting up networks, network engineers. It's not just architects who are super deep in, say, Red Hat Linux. Um, it's There's an umbrella that's big enough for everybody. Um, Case in point, one of the slept on pieces of IT in general that you might like even better than cybersecurity, even better than IT, would be project management. The reason why I tell some of my older folks to get into something like that is because it's more in line with what you've probably already done, and you'd be able to make more money doing that. But to answer your question, can you get into cybersecurity at 50? Of course, absolutely you can. There's gonna be a learning curve because a lot has happened in this field, and it depends on where you're coming from. I'm gonna be real with you. It depends on where you come from. If you're trying to get into cybersecurity, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not entry level. Even GRC is not entry level. Can you do it? Absolutely, you can. Absolutely. Does it happen? Absolutely. I've had people on this. I've interviewed people and talked to people on this channel who did it entry level, who did GRC entry level. Governance, risk management, compliance is for those who don't understand what don't know what I'm talking about. So governance, risk and management, and compliance it's attractive because it's not as technical as, say, your lead network, senior network engineer who's focused on security, who has to be very, very deep in one area on one vendor, for example. It's way wider, the things you have to know. So that's what's attractive to people that's not as technical. It's almost more like a project management type thing. That said, they are expecting us to know and have a strong understanding of information technology. And that's why it's not entry level. It's kind of a multidisciplinary where you do have to know some stuff. There are exceptions. I would say one of them would be is if you happen to be very strong in healthcare. If you Let's say you've been in healthcare for 15 years and you know HIPAA very, very well. So one of the things you might want to do with that kind of experience in that industry in particular would be to become a HIPAA expert, a HIPAA subject matter expert. And then you would learn a little bit of IT, have an IT background, right? Proven IT background, meaning you've done projects. Maybe you got a cert under your belt. You're messing around with, you understand information technology, meaning networking, the difference between a mobile device, a workstation, and a server, client server model. You know a little bit about cloud. You just know it. You're not super deep in it, but you know it enough to speak on it. If you were in the healthcare industry, you could transition into being like a GRC for hospitals or healthcare centers. That would be one thing you could do. Another industry that's real strong with that would be financial sector. So financial sector would be they need like auditors. They've got a whole bunch of standards and laws and stuff that they have to abide by, and that's where GRC comes in. So if you had done like banking management for a long time or something, like you just been doing, you were a teller for a long time, you really know the industry, you could transition into, like, you'd have to have a IT, you need to strengthen up your IT background, like your fundamentals of IT, you'd have to know that. But if you were in that field for a long time, you might want to think about trying to get um into an IT role in the banking sector, because you might have a better chance than somebody coming in from nowhere, because you already know what to say and stuff. So yeah, if you're 50, hell, if you're 18, fresh out of high school, there's a way, but it's a path. That's why I wrote the GRC roadmap, because there is a path to get from here to there. It's going to take some time. There's things that you do need to know. It's definitely not for everybody. That's another thing I'll say. But can you do it at age 50? Absolutely. Absolutely, you can. There will be a learning curve that you'll have to learn from some younger folks. If you have a problem with that, then it's probably not something you want to do. But there are other areas you can do in IT. Let me see. Security expert says the addition of cloud focus will be great complementary addition to your GRC knowledge that you're sharing with everyone. Yeah, I agree, security expert. I'm learning so much. Like, I have a lot. This new position I got is incredible. I'm really excited about it. I'm learning a lot. I'm going deeper into security stuff, but I'm also learning about DevSecOps. I'm getting some hands-on with that. I'm learning what it looks like in a cloud native environment. I'm learning how tools that I'm already using integrate with something like AWS or Azure. Now I can see it now. It's like, it's not a big deal. I would like to share a lot of these things with you, starting off with how, like, taking the AWS certification, and that's what I'm working on right now, kind of in the back end. And it's going to come out, like, I'm going to force myself to put this thing out by October. Like, what I tend to do, the reason why I'll be talking about something for like a year is because I'll get started on something, and then I'll keep trying to improve it and add things, and then I get the shiny object syndrome where I'm going this place or that. But I'm gonna force myself to release this cloud book in October, and then force myself to stop messing, tinkering around with the GRC roadmap and release it. That's why I've already got, this stuff here on. Let me show you guys. Yeah, it's already, like, I'm gonna force myself to go ahead and release it, because otherwise I'll just keep messing around with it and then release it way too late, which is ridiculous. You coming up with a GRC course? Yes, I am. So yeah, so that's just what I was talking about just now, and it looks a little something like this. And this right here is something I've been working on for some time, and it's mostly I targeted this for people who are entry level, people who are new to it, because I get a lot of questions on TikTok and on YouTube and Facebook from people who are like, "Hey, I'm a student. How do I get from here to there? How do I?" And actually, one of you guys came up with this. You guys said, somebody, I can't remember what platform it was or what, but they said, "Man, you should do a GRC roadmap." That's exactly the words they used, and I was like, "All right, that sounds like a great idea." So this I started a while ago, and start off by releasing the book. It's a companion to the book. It expands on the book. It's like 120 videos broken up, where it's walking you through how to use NIST CSF. The reason why I chose NIST CSF is because it's a great way to have the fundamentals down for what governance, risk management, and compliance is. GRC is kind of like a nebulous idea, but I want to give you a specific understanding of what it is, like a practical understanding. And the best way to do that is introduce you to a real framework that is used in government, in healthcare, in finance sector. The NIST CSF 2.0 is one of those one of those standards that is in the middle. It's not super deep in like controls. Like NIST 800 has like 1,000 controls if you include the security enhancements, right? And it's specifically mostly for the government. Other people use it, but mostly it's for the U.S. government. And then if you get into like PCI DSS, that's mostly for retail, you know. So and it's specifically protecting card readers and that kind of thing. So I didn't want to go like one route where it's like one industry mostly. I want to go something where it's a standard that everybody can use so that I can help you to understand what GRC really is and beyond just the terminology, right? So that's what this is going to do. And as we're going through it, I'm going to help you build your resume. The book is designed, the book and the course, as you go through it, it's helping you to realize that you actually have more exposure to GRC than you thought. Because in reality, all of us do. On some level, all of us have exposure, I should say, in GRC. Because GRC is whenever you get a new job, they have you fill out that user agreement. The user agreement is usually tied to a security policy. So you're signing on the security policy saying, yep, I know I'm not going to go to this website. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to make sure my card is protected. I'm going to do this and that. That stuff is part of the security policy that is a GRC thing. When you go into a job and they have security standards, so they have standard operating procedures, right? Those things that teach you how to do this and that and walk you through this or that. Those documents are supposed to be updated on a regular basis. They're supposed to be in tune with what your organization is actually doing, their processes that they're actually doing. That is part of GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. It's the governance piece where the organization is building a culture of training, and that's not just security training. It's privacy, it's safety, it's things to protect your organization's business, the business and mission. So GRC is something all of us have exposure to. If you've ever been to if you go into the DMV has a whole infrastructure designed to protect your data, your all of your personal biographical information that you are giving them. They're protecting that information. There's certain things they're having you do to protect your own biographical information. So all of us have exposure. If you're a student, they have something called FERPA where they have to protect your private information. If you ever had a loan before, the bank or the student loan program, they're supposed to protect your financial information. All of us are using it, but it's not like pen testing. Pen testing, very few of us have exposure to pen testing unless you've been hacked, right? Unless you've been deeply hacked, right? Directly hacked on your system. I'm not talking about a billion records lost by this or that company and you happen to be one. I'm talking about they directly hacked your website. They directly hacked your phone or your system or your server or whatever. Then you have exposure to pen testing on some level. Not many people have exposure to pen testing, especially actually being on the keyboard and doing it. But GRC is different. GRC, all of us have some level of exposure to it because it's baked into all the things we do because it's trying to protect our personal data, our sensitive data. It's certain things you do that you're not even thinking about that you are signing up for. If you've ever worked retail, if you've ever worked at a point of sale device, there's certain things that you're supposed to do to lock the system down to make sure each person has an account if the organization is doing what they're supposed to be doing. Whenever a new person gets on that point of sale device, you ever been at a counter and they're switching out people? You go to the cashier, they switch somebody out, right? Have you ever noticed? Sometimes they have to log themselves out and then somebody else has to log themselves in. That's because that point of sale device is making it so that there's a log on that person who's on that point of sale system. That way they're not doing, crazy stuff on that system. And if they do, it's being tracked on that point of sale device. And that's in compliance with something like PCI DSS. So all of us have exposure. So what I'm doing with this book is saying, look, let's find out what exposure that you have to GRC. Like what kind of things do you already know about that you never think about? But you, like myself, like when I thought about one of my first jobs, I worked in the library. I was a bookshelver in the library, and I had exposure to California had these laws where they protect patrons, not just their personally identifiable information, privacy and stuff, but also what they're reading. Like, you're not allowed to divulge information on what that person is. Like, if they had a list of, let's say they had a list of books on communism, right? You're not supposed to divulge that information to anyone else because that's private matter. That's one of the things that's in the law in California. I don't know how it is in other states, but that right there is a part of GRC where we're being, me as a bookshelver or the librarians or whoever, we have to be in compliance with the state laws that says we're going to protect this person's privacy. So they actually briefed me on that. They said, hey, if somebody has a list and they wrote it down or whatever, you need to destroy that information because you're not supposed to divulge it to anyone else. It's part of the laws of that state. So you haven't worked in retail. If you've ever worked in construction, if you ever worked in, I don't know, real estate, whatever, you probably have some exposure to cybersecurity and GRC. Very good chance. Okay. Age can't be a barrier in cybersecurity. As a matter of fact, in cybersecurity, it can be a benefit to be older because we need more mature people. As a matter of, like, the last few places I worked, the average age of cybersecurity professionals has been around early 30s, early 40s. Sorry, early 40s. It's not young. There's not too many younger folks in this in what I do in GRC. There hasn't been the youngest person on my new team. The new team I'm on is probably mid 30s, mid 30s. The average age is around probably 41 or 42 or something. That means that on the upper end of that, we're in our 50s, you know. And then the last job is the same thing. Like, there's a lot of older folks doing this work because you need more mature people to handle meetings and handle difficult customers and stuff. Not to say that younger people can't do it. They absolutely can, absolutely can. So GRC is one of those areas where you can be older and it's not a big deal. It's not like I don't know, pen testing has a lot of younger folks in it. So, and I noticed like things like software engineering has younger folks doing it. AI, and especially AI, and seems like more younger folks are doing that kind of stuff, which is good. I mean, good for them. Larry said a conversation around tech jobs available in terms of locations would be awesome. I like the tech job scarcity as I think that the tech job scarcity as a whole is a myth. I think there's been a consolidation of sorts. Yeah, I have to agree with you on a certain level, Larry. I think that there's a big narrative saying that there's no jobs or that all the jobs are being taken by AI and by people much smarter than me are on the online saying this. But I don't know. I mean, listen, I just tell you what I'm seeing. Like, I'm in this field and it depends on the industry about as far as AI taking jobs. It just depends on the industry. I'm not seeing it in the government. I don't see AI taking jobs. And then even what I saw was them firing a bunch of people for their own political reasons. That's what I saw, you know. And then them saying, "Oh, we're gonna add this AI and add." The two things are not related. Like, they were firing people they wanted to take the organization in another direction. And then another part of it was incompetence, to be honest with you. They're kind of going all over the place. I'm just being completely honest with you from what I've been seeing. They don't know that Doge is a good example. So Doge came in and then started letting people go. A good example would be what they did with They went to USAID and let go of a bunch of people who were in charge of doing a research in what was it, Ebola or something? They they fired a bunch of people who were on the cutting edge of doing research for Ebola. I don't know if they were in USAID, maybe they were another government, or look it up. I'm telling you, they fired a bunch of people that we absolutely need, and they knew they messed up because they then hired them back or attempted to hire them back. Right? Like these are kinds of people who are highly sought after. They did the same thing in a nuclear um, part of our government. I just don't. I saw it firsthand. Like some of the stuff that they were doing didn't make any sense, and they didn't take the time. What's concerning, because I get the sentiment. Like we need to make a leaner government. I get that. We need to spend less money. I get that. It makes sense. But then they want to go and raise our national debt another $5 trillion. So it doesn't even make sense. Anyway, that aside, right? I'm not even going to go down that route. So speaking from what I've seen, they would make all these moves and let all these people go, right? Or give incentives for people to go. We would lose a whole bunch of good people. The work didn't slow down, by the way. The work, if anything, increased because they want better quality. And then they didn't ask anybody who's actually doing this work, which is a sign of a poor leader. Normally, when you in the military, whenever we had great leaders, not managers, right? I'm talking about just a leader, like a person who's made an art out of leading people in the right direction and taking accountability for their actions. And sometimes taking one for the team. That's a leader, somebody who leads from the front. What I noticed about the ones who are really good is that they would listen to the team. Because a lot of times the people on the team, all the time, the people on the team have better skills than you, right? You have the privilege of taking this great team to another level or making the team better, right? Giving them the tools and the resources they need to do what they need to do. And if somebody is slacking, get rid of them and replace them with somebody better who's willing to do the work, who wants to go the same path as everyone else. That's what a great leader does, is listen to their team, find the best ideas, get everybody on board, and then go in that direction. What Doge did, from what I saw, they came in, they made all of these different changes, didn't ask anybody who's been doing it for 20, 15, 10 years, whatever, about, hey, here's what we're about to do. This is the direction we want to go, right? They just said, we have all the answers. This is what we're going to do, period. And then you end up losing a lot of really good people. And I don't know if we ever get those people back. So that's kind of what happened in the government space, right? I haven't heard anything good about it. I haven't heard any positive. I haven't seen anything positive about it. I haven't witnessed anything overwhelmingly positive. I mean, I guess they saved a little bit of money, but I'm telling you, some work's not getting done, man, because a lot of good people are gone. So yeah, there's some narratives that are being doctored, and I don't know, just telling you guys the real talk, like from what I've seen. And it sucks because this is the sector I've been in for a long time. I want it to work, regardless of who's in office. I want it to work. I mean, for the sake of all of us. Like, I'm doing work for all. When you work for the government, you're in the public sector, meaning you work for everyone on their tax dollar. So of course I want things to work properly, but if you have poor leadership, leadership for the sake of an ego or for some fake narrative, it doesn't go well. And that's kind of what's happening. Larry says, a skill is being A skill is being able to identify not only what companies are looking for in a new position, but where the positions actually are. Absolutely, absolutely. And for me, what I've been doing is using these tools that are out there, using the job. All the tools are out there available for all of us. I've been using the tools to do exactly what you just said, to identify what companies are looking for, and then where the positions are. They exist. Are there problems? Absolutely. Professor Black Ops brought up some really good points a couple times that we talked. Really, really good points about how there's issues with hiring, especially in cybersecurity. I would argue that we need more people. We're still down like a million people. Like, I'm not even exaggerating, like a million people were down. Every place I've been at in the last 7 years has been low manned. And then we've been doing, like, they'll hire you and then suddenly you're doing two or three other jobs, because they don't have enough people to. And then they're like, oh yeah, we're hiring people. In the government, I could tell you one of the problems is they're hiring too slow, and then it's not competitive with the regular market. So those are some of the things that are happening in the government sector. I can't speak on some of the other ones, but another thing they'll do is like what Professor Black Ops said, is that they'll be like, okay, we want you to be a PhD. We want you to know how to program in C++. Oh, and we want you to be an information security officer. And you're like, what the hell? Like, why are you asking for all this stuff that don't make any sense to this job? And then you get in the job and you're not doing any of these other things that they asked for. I don't know why they do that. I don't know why. Or they'll say, oh, we want you to have this or that degree. I Yeah, I don't understand. Right? That's there. It's not in the government. It's not that they're not hiring. It's that sometimes they'll set the bar super high so the person looks good on paper. I guess I don't know why they do that, and then that like eliminates a lot of the good talent you would get for somebody who doesn't have a degree maybe, but they've been doing this for X amount of years, or there's a really talented. Whereas a Google or another company might pick that person up, and they don't care if you have a degree. They just want to know that you're talented. Carl says, what about the effects of Amazon, Microsoft, Google with Trump's new H-1 visa? Each employee 100,000. I don't know about that one. Can you tell me a little bit something about that one? I don't know. It's to reduce the mass influx of resumes. Oh, really? One of the things that brings up something that Rob Rodriguez said about when we spoke. He brought up a great point about how remote work is making it more competitive for jobs, where it's really, really difficult to get jobs because if you go on LinkedIn, you're looking for a job in, I don't know, SOC analyst work or something. And then as soon as it posts, after like a few days, it already has 100 applicants. And that might be because, like Rob said, because people from all over the world are applying for this remote job. And because it's remote, they're applying from everywhere. And then they have like automated systems that are automatically applying for all these different jobs. And it's filling up and taking away jobs for people who might be remote. Like they might be in Plano, Texas or whatever. And they're looking, somebody in Plano, Texas is looking for a job and they happen to be an IT professional. They want that SOC analyst job, but 100 people from North Dakota all the way to India are applying for that job, remote, trying to get that remote job. So that's another issue that I think might be stifling and making it more competitive to get into positions. But I think the jobs are there. We definitely need more people. I will say that the market as a whole in some other industries, such as retail, and then in probably Google and Microsoft and Facebook and all those guys, they're having some kind of renaissance weird shit going on where they're firing a bunch of people and then saying, oh, we're gonna replace them with AI or something. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but I don't think AI is there yet, to be replacing jobs. So I think that what they're doing is restructuring. And like Facebook is a good example. Like Facebook was going in the meta direction, And then suddenly they're like, oh, we want to we want to do all AI stuff. So we're going to hire a whole bunch of people for just AI. And it's like, what are y'all doing? It seems like they just switched directions. Let me see. Somebody said GRC equals regulated industries. Um, kind of, but also there's some, if you think about it, governance risk and compliance is not just the big industries, right? It's if you have a mom and pop store and you want best security practices on the 3-4 computers that you have so that a customer can't just walk in behind the counter and start typing. Have you ever been in a store and they have the system wide open? Lowe's is a good example. You walk into Lowe's and sometimes they'll have the terminals all over, right? And it's for the employees, but sometimes it doesn't. It's not locked down. The system's open. I noticed this because I'm a IT guy. So I'm looking, I'm like, sometimes if you walk into a coffee shop, they'll have the same thing. They'll have a system like right there, it's open, and then nobody's there. Like everybody's in the back. Or if you go in a dentist's office or something, just small mom and pop stores, and they'll have a computer and they don't lock it. They don't have a way to, and then they're over there. And if they just did basic best security practices, I mean, don't even call it GRC, basic practices to lock the system down. And when a new employee comes in, like hire a new person in, right? They have a program, not even a program, like they have something that shows the person basics of, hey, don't click this email, like phishing, a little bit of um, of training on phishing, security awareness program. Not even a program, like something that a video they can watch. They have a process to where they're protecting themselves. GRC is best security practices, and it's making sure that you're protecting yourself as an organization, not just the customers, but your company as well. So on a large scale, yes, it's regulated industries absolutely need it. Is there a hands-on lab to the course? So what I do is I walk you through how to do a policy, a security policy, a standard operating procedure, and I have another one. Haven't cut it up yet, but I'm walking you through how to download and install and use Splunk and Nessus. So I've got to put those in there, but there is a bit of hands-on in there because GRC, what a lot of folks don't talk about is the risk management side. Risk management includes things like detection. How do you detect security events? How do you identify systems that are in your environment? So you need to know some of the tools or be at least familiar with some of the tools that do that. So what I do is very quickly walk you through how to do it on your own for free. Like you can actually download it, and I show you like, here's how you can do it on your own network and stuff like that. So that'll be a part of the course as well. PII, personal identifiable information. Yep, personally identifiable information. That's correct. Age is definitely a benefit in cybersecurity industry, specifically for those with decades of relevant experience. Absolutely. I've found it to be more of a benefit than it is a hindrance in the different organizations I've been in, because you have to have a certain level of maturity that that just comes with age, or it comes with time doing it. And it's not to say that younger folks can't do it, but you get into give me an example. You get into a meeting with somebody who was a difficult customer. You already know like how this person's supposed to be acting, but you have the maturity on how to deal with them, right? And sometimes it just means you take them aside. It doesn't mean you sit there and be disrespected. Sometimes you just take that person aside and very respectfully talk to them and say, hey, what's going on? Like, am I doing this the right way? Is there something I can be doing to get this going. I just want this program to win, how can I be a better service to the client, the customer? Sometimes you just take them aside, right? And that's something that older folks sometimes you call them directly, like, listen, like, is there something wrong? Like, what's going on? Sometimes I've noticed, like, with the older folks, you would do that. You do something like that. Not only, like, maybe especially vets who've had challenges that are way harder than the average person might have gone through. This person who's a petty tyrant that you're talking to might not be the worst person you've ever talked to before. So yeah, being older can be an advantage. Having maturity, I should say, is definitely an advantage. Carl says, yeah, it's about trying to have Americans do tech work now being done by immigrants. I don't know. I'm not sure, like, where they're going with that. He says, he is saying that it goes into effect tonight. So tech companies are telling H1 folks to stay in the US. Yeah, I don't. So I work in a field where we can't even have H1Bs. Like, in my field, it's only Americans doing these jobs. And it's not easy. So what I have noticed is, like, a lot of times we'll have a lot of immigrants, like new Americans, not immigrants. Like, they're first, they immigrated here, but they're American citizens, but because this is not easy to deal with this stuff we're doing. So yeah, sometimes they'll hire, like, people who immigrated here, naturalized citizens, and you can do it. You can do it that way. But yeah, I don't have any experience with H1Bs. No, I take that back. I mean, there might, like, one company I did some work for like a pharmaceutical. I think I was doing work with H1Bs. Yeah, that was the one exception. But normally I'm in the government sector, and there's no room for, so all this stuff about people, immigrants taking jobs is, like, not even relevant in my field. So I wouldn't know anything about. What are actionable steps to go from IT to GRC analyst? Actionable steps. This is a great question. So first thing you need to understand is that you probably, more than like, no, not probably, you definitely already have GRC experience. What I've noticed about most of my IT professionals who are trying to get into GRC is they don't realize what experience they actually already have. That goes for my project managers, for my IT help desk people, for network engineers, system administrators. You guys don't know what experience you are. You don't realize how valuable your skills already are. And for you, and even when I pointed out, you're like, oh, yeah, whatever, I did that. But you don't realize how valuable it actually is. Absolutely valuable. For help desk in particular, I'll give you an example. If you've ever had to fix logs on a system, you've ever had to restart the logs or turn the logs on or examine the logs, you had to go. I know a lot of times when I was on the help desk, we had to look at the logs, not just security logs, but the maintenance logs, software logs, to see why something wasn't working. So that when you're doing auditing the logs, that right there is something that you could put on your resume about knowing where, like, I don't know, event logs are, I know it's certain event IDs, and tying that to something that you could use at another organization. Reason why I say that's important is because with GRC, one of the main things that we have to do is make sure one of the heartbeat of a lot of the things we do are tied to logging. For one thing, think about it. Doing maintenance is only one part of it. But another thing is for the assurance of the organization, so that making sure that, let's say somebody does something really bad on the network, you have to keep those logs for a certain amount of time to ensure that you can go back and say, okay, we know what this person did on X amount of day on this and that day. And this, or another one is incident handling. So GRC ties into all of this. So incident handling, like you can't do incident handling without logs. Turning the logs on, knowing if they've been tampered with, knowing where they are, knowing that they are on is critical. So that's something you could tie into a resume. These are actions you've probably already taken. Another one is, I don't know, AV, antivirus, any kind of interaction you've done with antivirus. Another one would be writing. Writing is huge. Whether you're creating tickets or you are doing helping with a policy. I know when I was on the help desk, they'll say, hey, we need you guys to write a standard operating procedure for this new system that we got. This new thing, we need you to walk people through how to do it step by step. Like you might do a work instruction. Writing's really important. It's something you do a lot in GRC. You've got to be able to explain technical issues to a non-technical person and go to a non-technical person, go to a technical person and explain to them something that's a regulation, something non-technical. You got to be able to talk to both sides of that. So if you've done meetings where you had to talk to upper management and then go and turn around and talk to a customer and then go around to go and talk to a security person, you have to speak different languages for each one of those different people, those different parts of your organization. That's another thing, that another skill set not talked about, but it's something that you could put on your resume to explain, like, I know how to talk to different customers. I know how to talk to difficult customers. I know how to talk to, and I can articulate technical, something technical to the C-level exec because I've done it before. Those are the types of things that you could also put on your resume. If you want an example, an actionable thing you can do right now is cheat. Go to convocourses.com, download my free resume. Damn, how would you get it? You can get my resume for free and to get an example of what a GRC resume looks like. And what you'll notice is my focus is on knowing the standards. A lot of times as an IT professional, as a help desk person, somebody who's hands-on all the time, what you don't realize is you are using regulations and standards right now, all the time at your job. You're just doing things, playing whack-a-mole, doing all this stuff, but you're doing it because a regulation told you to. So what you want to do is know what regulation that is. And I don't know work where you are. I don't know where you work, but let's say you were in retail. If you're in retail, you would want to reach back to the policy, read through it. It's going to refer and reference a certain standard, law, regulation, whatever your industry is going by. In retail, probably reference PCI DSS. You would need to be able to tie, as a GRC analyst, tie your things you've done directly back to the PCI DSS to explain, hey, I know PCI DSS. Not only that, but I've been doing it for 15, 10, 5 years, whatever. And then you need to go read that regulation. Go directly to that regulation, whatever it is. It might be Sarbanes-Oxley if you're in the financial sector, retail sector, PCI DSS, government sector, NIST 800 or NIST CSF or whatever. Read it. And then when you go to that interview, first put it on a resume and all that kind of stuff, that you understand it and know it and actually have done it before. And if you want an example how you articulate that, how you explain it on your resume, you take a look at my resume's out there for free right now. Roman, I put my whole thing out there. You can also find me on LinkedIn. Check out my LinkedIn profile, how I explain things, because I've been doing GRC for a long time. Put that on there, and then when you go to the interview, you'll be able to tie the stuff that you've done as an IT help desk person to the GRC, the actual regulations that you've done. So there's a few different things that you can already do right now that you've already done. And now you've got to explain what you've done on your resume. But before you do that, you need to understand what I think a lot of times people don't understand what GRC actually is. That is the real problem. And so with this GRC roadmap, that's what I was trying to do is explain, hey, this is what it is. Have you done this before? Then you've done GRC. Do you know this law right here? This is GRC right here. Have you done this? That's what I'm kind of doing through the whole thing. And as you go through it, you'll start to connect the dots. You'll be like, oh yeah, I have done that before. So let me see. Slunk and Nexus. Or you do mean Nessus? I'm just reading through some Tenable here. Splunk is now owned by Cisco. Yeah, I believe it is. That was a great move on their part. That's a dope ass product. I have my Security Plus cert, but what more should I do on my resume or skills to get my GRC up? Yeah, again, like one of the things that people don't understand is especially if you've been in IT for some time, you probably already have exposure. I think I've already talked about this. Now, if you only have your Security Plus, like a lot of folks are coming in, they want to get in. They only have a Security Plus. They don't have any exposure to any industry. They don't have any kind of IT background. All they have is Security Plus. I can't sit here and tell you and lie to you and say that you can get a job that way. A cert is not enough. Experience is king. So if this is if you're not in an industry, you don't have experience in an industry, like you haven't done 5 years as a project manager working directly for the government, that's huge. Like that right there is awesome. Like there's so many ways you can pivot with that. You don't have IT background. You just have a Security Plus. That's it. What I would do is I would focus the next bit of my time doing projects. Like if that's all you can do projects in your own house. Set up a NAS, set up a firewall in your house, mess around with your network, set up a new network. Stuff like that. Another thing you can do is if you already have a job somewhere, but it has nothing to do with IT, try to get into the IT department. If you can't do that, talk to the IT guys. Go directly to the IT. I'm just telling you what I did. When I was a security guard in the Air Force, that's what I did. First thing I did is start asking questions around that organization, and then started talking to the IT guys. I drove up to the IT guys department and I start asking them questions. How can I be down? What can I do? This is what I really want to do. And then you'll be surprised how open they are to talk to you. Like, oh yeah, you can do this, you can do that. They might even have a job open. That's what happened to me. They had a job opening. I talked to them and they're like, hey, yeah, by the way, they might have a job opening right now. And so I was like, really? I went down there and asked, and then they did. So try to do a lateral change within the organization you're in, because you already know the culture of that organization. So try to get in and be like, hey, I got a Security Plus. I'm down. I want to work. I'm trying to get experience. Like I'm down. I'm about this life. This is what I want to do. Go talk to the IT department. See how excited they are to talk to you, to get you in a position over there. And if nothing else, like even if you can't get a position there, they'll teach you like, yeah, you need the next step, do this. Or hey, these folks are hiring. Ask this person. There might be a whole nother department that's hiring IT professionals to start off with a help desk or technical support type job. Because experience is king. That's what you want to do next. Okay, let me see. I got some other questions and comments and stuff here. Thank you guys for the great conversation. $20 from Larry. Thank you, Larry, so much for this. Appreciate it. He says, curious on what your thoughts are on this technology magazine, why Accenture is teaching 700,000 employees to use agentic AI, as you've alluded to, being at a job aggressive in AI can be resistant. Oh, okay. This is interesting. I've known this. I didn't see this one. Let me take a look at what we have here. It's called why Accenture. I think that's a great idea as I'm typing here to find this. That they're getting their employees to use agentic AI and use it as much as possible. Now, I do think that there is a risk to this, but if they're not risk averse, I would say it's a great thing to do, to get to use as much AI as you can safely do in your environment. I mean, I think that's a great idea. I don't think that it's going away. I don't think AI is going away. I think that we have to roll with the punches. It really reminds me of like the 90s for those who are older when the World Wide Web started getting really big. And then you had McDonald's and all these other gigantic companies start to get on board. Some of them were really slow to have a website. It reminds me of that when it first started. Okay, I'm looking for that. Okay, yep, here it is. I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at this article real quick. Here it is right here. Why is Accenture why Accenture is teaching 700,000 employees to use agentic AI? Okay. With clients demanding deeper knowledge of AI agents and their applications, the consulting giant is planning to make a team of experts in the emerging tech. I think it's a great idea. Well, I don't understand why you wouldn't use it, right? Like, I think that there's something to be said about having your folks use the best possible tool to do their job. There's a lot of talk about AI replacing our jobs, but there's so many things you can do with it where you could be. It just seems like if you have a dope staff and then you give them the best tools, you be able to do so much more with and help more of your customers rather than just cutting the entire staff and your entire knowledge base for profit. I just don't know how that's going to help you if you're going to lose, especially if you're already making money and then you just boom cut your whole staff. At some point you're going to have to hire some folks back. So it says mass upskilling reflects market shift. I think this is brilliant. Let me see. It says this week the CEO Julie Sweet announced the training program during Bloomberg television interview, describing it as a essential preparation for serving clients' needs in a rapidly evolving AI landscape. Every new wave of technology has a time where you have to train and retool. Exactly. Exactly. Man, finally a smart fucking CEO. It's crazy. And she says, yeah, I mean, that's brilliant. I think that's a great idea. I don't understand why more organizations don't do this. I mean, I guess you definitely want to be careful because I remember when Samsung did this. This was mentioned a few times on this channel. It's such an amazing, fascinating case with Samsung. They allowed their engineers to use ChatGPT when it first came out and it first started getting popular because it's such an amazing tool. But what happened was they leaked some of their special sauce on ChatGPT, and unknown to the layperson, thing is, if you put something on ChatGPT, it's not it's it's not supposed to be seen by other people, right? Like it's not like you're putting it on the website, but a it is going into a database that is owned and operated by ChatGPT. So it's not 100% safe. So that's one of the many things that you want to be careful of. But I mean, I think that if you're doing just basic searching and research on with AI, with ChatGPT or with some kind of generative AI, and you made your you made your team be aware of, like, listen, don't put sensitive information on there, because that's what Samsung engineers did. Is they had some kind of new storage that's going to compete with Apple. Like, it's very classified, right, for their team, because if they put that thing out there and then Apple gets a hold of it, and let's say ChatGPT got bought by Apple or something, their competitors can see it. I mean, hell, ChatGPT could see it and be like, "Hey, this is a great idea. We can use this let's make a new storage just based off of, you know." So you got to be careful about stuff like that. You don't want to put sensitive information in there. You don't want to put, national secrets in there. You don't want to put you really want to be careful with personally identifiable information, to be honest with you. You want to be careful with that, because that information is getting stored somewhere, you know. So if all of those bases are covered, I say it's a great, brilliant idea to use it as much as you can safely get away with, because it's just going to help your team to be that much smarter. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's great. Okay, let me see. I got some more. Huge conversation here. Thanks, guys. Appreciate this. Let me see. I'm getting bits and pieces about this H1 visa thing. I really don't know anything about it, to be honest. So I'm reading it here for the first time. Nana says point of sale at retail banks protect the cardholder information. That's right. That's correct. So it's payment card industry data security system. That's correct. That's what it is. I'm in my mid 50s and I'm turning away work. Same here. Let's see. Think organizations are more concerned about the value you bring in terms of skill, not so much about age. Absolutely. Um, and Lab says, man working shorthanded, plans for even more consolidation within my agency. Oh man, we're working shorthanded, and there's plans for more consolidation at my agency. Haven't got my promotion because of the freeze and the shutdown looming. This is a tough time for federal employees. Yes. So there's just so much things going on, but it's not like it's not AI is not that narrative is not tracking for the federal space. Like, in this federal space, there's several things happening that are shaking things up. One is, like Lab said, they're doing like this reshaping. They're reshaping departments. They'll take, like, USAID is a good example. What they did was they like, quick win. We're just going to get rid of the whole department because they're doing X, Y, and Z that's evil and bad and is liberal or whatever, right? Like, painting it in this political way. But really what happened was they collapsed it into the State Department. And people who are not well read or just don't pay attention, just didn't see, or not like paying. All they care about is the red meat and the political BS theater going on. So they're not like really getting the data. What they really did was they collapsed USAID into State Department. And that's what they're doing, is they're reshaping these different organizations and then trying to, like, streamline it and calling it, oh yeah, look at this, we've cut this and that. And there's a political theater happening. It's for everyone, for all the people who are not in this field, but the people in the field who are getting cut and shorthanded and working overtime because they just cut the staff for no reason, or they're saying, oh, okay, we're not gonna approve anything over $100,000, which is crazy for the government. Like, that sounds like a lot, but it's not. So then now you got to go all the way up to the secretary or whoever to get it approved. But it's just like, oh, it's just software. That's all it is. But it's software we really need. But it can't be approved until it goes through 15 different levels of people. It's like stuff like that where they're reorganizing things, and it doesn't sound like they really talk to people who know what's going on. It sounds like They just start doing things. It's kind of like Elon Musk said about breaking things. Let's move fast and break things and see what happens. Which you can't with the government. You're gonna do that. You're gonna lose your subject matter experts on important things like nuclear weapons, or maybe FAA folks, or you're gonna lose people who are doing important research for cancer, and you're gonna lose the relationships with other countries, and you're gonna. Those are things that, right? Like you can't just if you break it, it might take 5 years to get it back, if ever. Maybe you never get that back. Maybe credibility is gone forever for the whole nation because you did something with no, like you didn't really think that through, and now all of us got to suffer for that. That's kind of what I'm seeing going on, and it's difficult, especially to see my federal partners getting cut, and it's like that was the safest job around. That was the job that I was always encouraging people to do, because it was a safe, like that's one of the safest things that you could do before now with everything going on. Now it's, I don't know, it's kind of all over the place because they're reshaping things and moving things around and stuff like that. And then playing this political theater that it's like it doesn't really make sense. And I'm just being honest with you guys. And there's only so much I can say, because now even certain things I can say can get me like terminated. Like that's where we're at. I don't know like what I guess this is what people want. It's so strange. Like I'm used to freedom of speech. It's crazy to me. This whole thing is wild. I've never seen nothing like this before in my life. In my career, I've never seen anything like this. I've been doing IT for the federal space and other industries since I was in my 20s. Since the year 2000, I've been doing this, and I've never seen anything like this. It's shocking. It's odd, and it's weird, and yeah, they're going a whole different direction. I don't think it's sustainable. We'll see. Larry says there was a boom around 2010 or so, when cyber in terms of education uh, became big. The problem was that not all curriculums not all curriculums are created equal. And I can personally attest to my program wasn't good enough. Yeah, absolutely. There's been a couple huge shifts in man, I can't stress how important it is to have a good security awareness training program. It's really important to have a real solid one that teaches people the basics about cybersecurity. Really, really important. Bruce, have you heard about the $100,000 H-1B visa tech security folks from outside? No, I haven't. Somebody on TikTok asked me about that. I mean, let me just see about that H-1B -1 visa 100,000. I don't know anything about this. This is happening like right now? Ooh, whoa, that's crazy. Ooh. Oh boy. Okay, let me show you guys what I'm seeing here. This is interesting. Politico, Trump. I don't know what the political leaning of this particular rag is, but I just kind of clicked on the first one I saw. Trump administration tries to tamp down panic for high skill visa holders after last minute overhaul. The president announced Friday that H-1B visas will now come to a $100,000 annual fee. Whoa! But a U.S. official said it will only apply to new visa applicants. So if they hire somebody who is an H-1B holder, the company has to pay $100,000. Is that the understanding here? President Donald Trump's new $100,000 fee for high skilled visa holders only applies to new applicants, not current visa holders who may be on travel outside the US. So they hire somebody new and they just got their visa approved, they're on their way here. Boom, company pays $100,000. According to the US official granted an anonymity to speak about the policy. President's H-1B announced Friday immediately spurs chaos in companies, immigration lawyers. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. What do you guys think about that? You guys think that's good or bad? This is not really my industry. So says, okay, it's quite possible that DHS may release guidance saying that it does not apply to everyone despite. So what gets me about stuff like this is that they're not giving the companies a chance to adjust to this. They're just doing stuff. And that right there, stuff like this is causing the industry to shake and have uncertainty, which impacts jobs. And I think that this right here, stuff like this is what's happening to the job market. While the job market is lower than normal, while the economy is extra effed up, is not making it better. Decisions like this, like to be honest, if they did it the right way, this is what gets me about this side. If they did it the right way, it might actually make sense to do stuff like this. But to do it all of a sudden and just all of a sudden overnight, we're going to change everything right now. You just don't know what he's going to do. If you have a company and you're doing really well, right? And one of the things you do is you hire H-1Bs. And you do hire Americans, like you're paying taxes, you have Americans there, but there's some skill sets that you need an H-1B because whatever reason, right? And now suddenly the administration makes a decision that's going to impact your business. How do you know? Like, you don't know what they're going to do from one day to the next. Right? It's not really this decision particularly. It's how they make the decisions and say, bam, right now we're going to do all this stuff right now, immediately. It's stuff like that that's kind of like not like, how can you make decisions to hire? Companies make decisions to hire based off of projections. Does that make sense? Like, whenever you hire, you're like, okay, we know that we did this amount of work and we know that we have a projection that we're going to do more work in the next fiscal year, next 2 quarters, fiscal whatever year. We know we're expecting a 10% increase, or we're going to stay the same, whatever the case may be. But they're making a projection, and then they say, based off of that, or based off of how much work we already have, we need to hire a new person. But if the government comes and says, hey, right, everybody stop what you're doing, we're going to do this new law right now today. It's, in matter of fact, tonight at 12 o'clock, this is when it implements. And if you do anything after this time, we're going to charge you $100,000. How can you, if they're doing stuff like this, how can you make a decision to hire more people? You basically have to stop what you're doing to see where things going to land. I think that's what's happening to the job market, especially the IT space, because they keep doing stuff like this with the tariffs, stuff like just these random things that they want. They don't want to go through. The normal way that you do this is you go through legislation. You go through, it becomes a bill or a law. It has to go through Congress and then the Senate, and then the president either vetoes it or signs it. And then that process alone takes, I don't know, it depends on how long they want to take it. But that takes like a month or so or longer. And then even then, they're very responsible about it. They're like, look, we know companies are already doing business. We don't want to disrupt their business. We want to give them time to adjust to this new law. They're being respectful of that organization's time and energy and what they bring to the market and their taxes, because these companies, even if they hire a bunch of H-1Bs, say what you want about it, but they're paying taxes, right? If they have enough to hire H-1B and pay that person 80,000, 90,000 a year, you think they're not making bank? You think they're not paying taxes? They're paying taxes. Um, they're paying taxes, real estate taxes. If they have a commercial property, they're paying employees, and those employees have to pay taxes. They have to buy equipment and buy stuff. That all the stuff they're buying has sales taxes involved. They're paying taxes. The more money they're making for that business, the more taxes they're paying. So you're going to say, okay, right now, tonight, right now, immediately, we're going to do this thing that's going to directly impact your business. And how can you hire more people if you don't know what they're going to do from one moment to the next? You know what? I think that's what's happening with the economy. I think that's what's happened with the job market. I don't think it's good. It could have been good, because one might argue, one argument would be, hey, they're hiring too many people from overseas. That's a fucking legit argument. That's a legit argument. H-1Bs is a legit. I can see where you would want to change that. But I think if you do stuff like this and the other laws that, I don't know if you guys heard about the de minimis law, where they were gonna start charging people tariffs on things that are over $600 or something. It's tariffs on small items that are shipped from overseas, and that is also directly hitting companies. I just don't like, how can you know what I mean? That might be one of the problems that's happening right now. All right, so I've got somebody trying to jump in on TikTok to co-host, but listen, what I want to do is next week. Let me see let me take a look at the time next week. 27th. On the 27th, what I want to do is have a board. Would anybody be interested in joining? Larry, I would love to have you on. Even if you just want to do your voice, that's okay. But have a whole panel of people talk about your experience. You can join in from your phone or whatever. If you're interested, I will send you a link. I will set the whole thing up now. I'm gonna go ahead and invite Professor Black Ops. I've already contacted him to see if he wants to be involved and talk to us. And you can join as long as you want. You don't have to do the whole hour. Maybe just jump on, ask a question, or answer some questions or whatever. Just very informal, where we're all just having a conversation about this. And if you're interested, let me know. I will send you a link. Actually, email me at contact@combocourses.com, and we can set something up. I can send you the link. This first time I've done this, like a panel. I've tried to do it a couple times. Larry says it's only now that schools are actually partnering with companies or hiring former industry professionals to help the curriculum with curriculums to make it worth the money. He says it's to the point where most internships give a better return on investment than most of the degree programs being offered. Yeah, I mean, hands-on is awesome. The military and grad school gave me a foundation in communication skills that most of my peers didn't have entering the workforce, but my peers' technical skill set were much higher and better quality. Let me see here. I've got some other folks here. Nana, that was a great one. Thank you for bringing that one up. Somebody else on TikTok actually brought that up too. Let me see here. IT training as a part of onboarding process. Okay, you guys having a conversation back and forth. Appreciate you. Let me see here. I'm just trying to add more to the conversation here. Nana says, if you are working as an IT help desk in the healthcare industry, then you sure are going to be following HIPAA laws. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Adding to what we talked about earlier. Okay, let me see. Got some folks on TikTok, and I apologize, guys. I'm not taking any co-hosting because I've got two different things going on here. See over here. But if you want to join for next week, you want to join me for next week, um, I'm open to it. Contact me at contact@combocourses.com, and I'm gonna have a whole panel of people. We're just gonna just like we're doing here, except I'll be able to hear you guys' voice, and then maybe we take some questions and stuff. Sorry, did you answer my question about background help? Okay. I think I did answer this question, but let me just double check. Sorry, did you answer my question about my background and helping to transition to GRC? I think I did, but let me see if I can find that question. I need to integrate these questions with everything else I'm doing here. Okay, here it is. I've got 4 years as a QA in pharmaceutical company. Would that help with a transition? Um, so I worked with a pharmaceutical company before, and they have something called GXP. GXP, where it some of the practices that they have to do include cybersecurity, so it can help. Especially if you've had to secure patents or other proprietary information that the pharmaceutical organization has to do. Um, it it can be helpful. You probably have some exposure to what I'm talking about, the GXP stuff, and they have other ones too. There's GXP, and then there's several other things that integrate with that have a piece that talks about best security practices on systems that are handling uh, PII, privacy information, and trade secrets and things like that. So if you have exposure to that, that might actually help you out because that field does have, they do dip their toe in that GXP piece, but also in HIPAA. So I would say you're going to need some background in information technology or some exposure to it, meaning you need to know things like networking, like how does it work? You need to know things like server technology, client server model, cloud technology. How does that work? Basic stuff. Like you don't have to know super hardcore in the weeds IT professional stuff, but you need to have an understanding of how it works so you can protect it. Um, and then stay in that field. Like what you could do is transfer in that field. If you work for Abbott or whoever, whatever pharmaceutical, Johnson and John, whoever pharmaceutical, and then try to stay in that company and then do a lateral change to the IT department. That's what I would do. You need to actually get some kind of knowledge of information technology because it's going to be hard to get a job in there with zero knowledge of information technology. But is it possible? Absolutely. They do have a piece in pharmaceutical specifically for protecting systems that are handling those trade secrets and personally identifiable information. I got an internship for IoT. Does that look good on my resume? For you mean IT? Yes. Yeah. So focus on what you're doing for the organization. Look at the tools you're using. They're going to teach you to use this or that tool. Put that on your resume. The skill sets, of course, all that. Take a very close look at what certs, skills, experience that your coworkers have because you want to mimic that as much as possible. Look at what they have and try to do what they do. Walk the same footsteps that they have. That's going to give you an advantage. Um, Definitely put it on your resume. If you want to cheat, go to LinkedIn and look at people, um, and then look at their resume and see what they have to see how to. Now, I'm not telling you to copy paste it into your resume. What I'm saying is read how they word it, and that wording will give you a good idea of how to explain it on your resume. So yeah, internship is awesome. So congrats to that. That's a really good step in the right direction, to be honest with you. Let me see. I worked with FERPA and HIPAA in schools. I have 5 years of IT experience. That's awesome, Ray Alice. That's really, really good stuff right there. So you should be able to level up with that. You just need to explain it on your resume well enough to get into those positions, start fighting for those positions and you're gonna be very competitive with that kind of experience because not many people have that, what you have. So that's competitive. You just got what I've noticed is like a lot of people have competitive skills, but they don't know what skills they have. I'm telling you, for all the resumes people send to me, I sometimes I'm looking at, I'm very impressed, but they don't. And then sometimes I'll ask, hey, do you have experience with this tool? And they're like, yeah, I have that tool. Like, you got to put that on the resume. Yeah, the tools and with GRC, you need to put the standards that you use, ISO 27001, even things like OSHA or different federal or state laws, especially the ones protecting information technology. Those are safety type stuff, might even help. Um, those are the kinds of things you want to explain. Like here's my exposure to this particular law or this particular act or this particular standard or framework. And here's what I did to make sure that our organization was in compliance with it. That's the kind of thing you want to put on your resume. Let me see. Is Security Plus enough to get an entry level cybersecurity job? No. So they want, in addition to the Security Plus is fire. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's dope. It's fire. It's really good. But that alone is not going to get you a position normally. What they're going to want is what you want to do is get experience, get your hands on some computers, mess around with them, and be able to hit the ground running when you walk into an organization. And you only get that with experience, like putting your hands on some systems. But the Security Plus is good. Like it's it's a really good certification, but you really want the experience is what you really want beyond anything else. The cert is kind of just the icing on the cake. Farron says Josh Maker was the best intern ship for real skills. Tenable, Sentinel, Microsoft Defender, Linux skills, PowerShell. What is this called? Josh Maker? It's been said many times right here on this podcast that instead of being afraid of being replaced by AI, see how you can work with it and learn AI related skills. I don't see what other choice we have. It's not going anywhere, That's my thinking is it's not going anywhere, right? We could sit here and be afraid, be scared of things we don't have control over what the industry is going to do what it's going to do. Like I'm just thinking like the logical choice is learn it, learn it as best we can, integrate it into what we do. I just think that's the best choice. I don't think that it's really is a destructive option to try to fight it. I just don't think that that's realistic. And for those of us who are trying to make an income off of this and make a living off of this, we have to adapt. I just think that that's the best choice. I think we have to embrace it, use it, of course, use it safely. Don't put personally identifiable information in there. If you're or you can build your own local one and put that in there, right? You don't put your social in there. Don't put things you wouldn't want to be put on the internet, just in case God forbid ChatGPT gets hacked and then they leaked all records, which is totally possible, right? I don't know what kind of security you have over there. So just be careful with your personally identifiable information. Be careful with sensitive information from organizations or your own personal sensitive information. Be careful, but use it. Like, use it to learn. Use it to just recently. Um, my wife is an immigrant and she's learned to drive here in the U.S. And so what we did was, she has the manual, but English is not her first language, right? So if you've ever had to read something in another language that's not your first language, right? Like, it's challenging. So she had to take a driver's test here, the written driver, and it was challenging because it's like it's their third language and shit. So what we did was we made a GPT. We made a GPT and we made a gem. What that is you download a book into AI and then tell it to read it and make a test for you. And it did. It made a test. We uploaded the Colorado DMV manual, right? And then I told it, make the test interactive. And I said, uh, make sure you explain it in this language, right? That way it's in English and it's in this language, just to be extra helpful. And then go one question at a time, do multiple choice, make it look like the Colorado DMV test. And then also explain the answer. When you give me the answer, after I answer, explain why. And so she could just go in and make any kind of question. Like, she can make 100 question test. She can make a 20 question test. She can make them harder, or she could ask more questions with it. And then it just kept doing that. And she just kept taking the quiz over and over again. She passed the test. What's to stop you from doing this for Security Plus? What's to stop? I did it with AWS. I did that. That's why. I mean, not only did I read the book, I have the book over here and stuff. I took a course. Stephen Merrick's course on Udemy was fire. I don't make no money promoting that dude, but it was dope. I took that. I just use everything at my fingertips. But AI is another tool I use. We got to use it. Like, you've got to use use what you can. Um, and that's what we're gonna have to do. Like, we don't have a choice. Like, there's no choice. It's not going away. It's not magically they're not gonna suppress it, right? There's not, even if they did, there's open source models out there. There's just no way this is gonna go away. It's just too effective. Use it to your advantage. Use it to take tests. Use it to help any kind of uh, deliverables if you can. Use it where you can. Of course, use it responsibly. It does plagiarize people's stuff. You got to reread stuff. It says lies, all kinds of stuff. You don't want to. It's not a replacement for you. It's a very poor replacement, but it is a great partner. It is a great assistant. It is a great tool to use, but it is not a good replacement. I'm telling you. Let me see here. Money Life Business. How you doing, man? It's been a while. Let me see. Josh Maker has the best internship. Okay, I already read that. Let me see. I'm about to end this thing. I've been talking for about an hour, 30 minutes, y'all. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Thanks for joining. I'm going to take a few more of these questions. Talking about agentic AI, y'all don't forget to start with the laws, regulations, or some part of guardrails, which is tied to what we've been talking about. GRC. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the thing is, GRC right now, AI is so new that the companies are putting in the guardrails, right? They're making it so you can't talk about, I don't know, making bombs or something like that. Like, you can't there's certain things that are already built in safety features in the AI, but they can't stop you from doing all the stuff to hurt yourself. Be careful with your information, your personally identifiable information. Be careful with that. just think of it like this. If your favorite chat LLM gets hacked, what do you not want on there? What things would you not be okay with it being out on the internet, right? And be advised, like you need to um be honest with what you've put in there. Like there's a risk involved. Whenever you use it, there is a risk, even with ChatGPT or Google or whatever. Of course, maybe you're like, oh, I'm never going to use the Chinese ones, or I'm never going to use the one from Europe or whatever, right? But there's still a risk with Google and with ChatGPT and even Anthropic, who has arguably probably the best guardrails out there. There's nothing to stop them from just getting hacked, or some insider threat, or China stealing their stuff and then leaking it. So just be careful with your stuff. There is risk when you use these. Your data is going somewhere and it's being stored. They're the safest ones out there. There's a couple where it erases all the information. Like one is if you use DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo is a browser that doesn't keep your information like Google and like Bing and all these other big companies that they use all of your data to sell more stuff or to advertise to you and all this kind of thing. But DuckDuckGo doesn't do that. And they have an agentic feature. They have a way that you can use AI on there, and then when you do your search, it'll delete it after that. So that's one safe way you can use it. Another thing you can do is build your own local LLM, um, Money Life Business is saying. You can build a local LLM, and then that local LLM keeps all your information. So you could use it for taxes. You could use it for all kinds of stuff, right? So that's one thing you can do. There are things you can do. Another thing you can do is, let's say you had some personally identifiable for some tax information or something, and you have a question about very specific question about something going on. You could change the information. Like you can make it so that, you're not sharing account information. You're not sharing social security number, stuff like that. And then feed it the information you need, where even if it was leaked, they wouldn't be able to tie it back to you, as easily. So, or they wouldn't be able to they'd probably tie it back to you, but they can't hack your information. They can't take that and then do identity theft or something, or go to your bank or something like that. So there's things you could do, like, or even your resume. You could take your resume and change the information on your resume to where it's not all of your information on the resume. And granted, you are still putting your resume out there on the internet or whatever, but just be mindful of what you're putting out there and be aware that there is a risk to using these tools, especially the ones in the cloud. So let me see. I got some. Wow, so it's a great conversation. Okay, let me wrap this up, guys. Listen, we've got a new site, convocourses.com, and course coming out really soon. I'm gonna wrap this up. To folks that are just joining this new platform, I'm about to start giving out this thing for free just to mess around, test it out before I make this paid. Here it is right here. It's called GRC Roadmap NIST CSF. It's something I've been talking about for months and months. I'm finally going to release it as is. There's still some stuff that I need to add in there. There's some walkthrough stuff already in there, but there's some other walkthroughs I've already recorded. I just need to cut it up, put it in there. That's the stuff teaching you how to use Splunk, download it, and then use it locally. And then also Nessus, I've got that in there as well, coming soon. So these are some things that all we do is talk. Like if you're jumping on this late or whatever, this is a way to continue to have the conversation. We actually talk throughout the week to one another and put in all kinds of awesome stuff. So that stuff is coming soon. It's out right now if you want to jump in there, but the actual GRC roadmap coming soon. I'm working on in the background right now. Most of my work is going to the cloud computing AWS book that's going to tell you how I actually passed this and what you should study to get through this. And that's it. You guys, I'm out of here. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate everybody on TikTok. Let me just go ahead and close this thing right here. My old ass having trouble closing these things down. And then YouTube, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you so much. We got so much more stuff coming down the pipe, so stay with me.